Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Jeffrey Epstein Show. I'm your host, Bobbycapucci, and this is a bonus episode. Hey, what's up, everybody? We're going to get right to it in this episode. We're not going to dither or waste any time. So, I had no plans of coming back into the studio tonight. The Daily Drop is already out. I was moving along with my day. I had some other things going on, but the second I saw the article from the Daily Mail with the new pictures of the young girl passed out or sleeping or whatever it is in Jeffrey Epstein's lap, I knew that I had to hit the studio and record a segment. Now, these pictures are disturbing. Not in the way you would think when you say, oh, a picture is disturbing, right? It's because of what we know about Epstein now. That's what makes these pictures so disturbing. And furthermore, why in the hell is this girl passed out in this dude's lap? Not his niece, not his daughter, not his relative or anything like that. She certainly looks much too old in this picture to be passed out in a grown man's lap who is not her father or somebody very close to her. So my question is, why is this young girl sleeping in Jeffrey Epstein's lap in the first place? Now, according to this report, they were on a trip coming home from Disney World, where Epstein and a crew that included the Core Four all went on a nice little jaunt down to Disney World where they were treated like royalty. All kinds of special privileges were afforded to them, and the whole nine. And Jeffrey Epstein, well, he got a great time out of the whole ordeal for himself, huh? Just exactly what he likes. Little girls laying in his lap. I'm absolutely disgusted by these photos, folks, considering how much we discuss what kind of person Jeffrey Epstein is or was. If you don't have the proper context to the story and you see these pictures, they look creepy, right? But not extra level, next level creepy the way they look to people like us who have been following this case and who understand the implications. And when you just look at his face, the way he's staring at this kid in the picture, and there's another picture, and there's a little girl much younger, and he's sitting there at a table at Disney World at some restaurant there with a pink lemonade in front of him, and he's staring at this little girl like in a longing manner, like the way I can't even explain it. It's really disgustingly creepy the way he's looking at her. It's like I can't even explain it. You're gonna have to look at them, the pictures for yourself, and you'll see what I mean. It's hard to put into words the sort of look he's giving her. He's like leering at her, like he's some sort of merchant looking to buy a product or something. I know that's a crude way to explain it, but that's the visceral reaction this evokes in me when I look at the way he's staring at her, at the child in the picture, like almost like she's chattel or something. So make sure after you're done listening to the episode or during the episode, if you want to read along while I'm doing the episode, make sure you check it out one way or the other. Go to the Daily Mail article, which will be in the description box, and look at these pictures for yourselves. It's absolutely disturbing, folks. When looked at in context of what we know now, and we look back at it with those glasses on, probably one of the most disturbing photos to emerge from this whole entire ordeal. All right, let's jump into the Daily Mail and let's see what they have to say about these new pictures. This article was authored by Kayla Brantley. Headline: Never before seen photos show pedophile Jeffrey Epstein cuddling a sleeping, I don't know if she's sleeping, she looks passed out to me, young girl on his lap on board his private jet after spending a day at Disney World with unsuspecting families. I mean, yikes. So How about this for a scenario? You're at Disney World with your family. You're in the area, you're having a turkey leg or whatever the hell you guys are having. You take a couple of pictures of the family as they're hanging out, as they're eating. And then later on, you go through those pictures, and the creeper of Coney Island happens to be photobombing you. I mean, yikes. Talk about having a wolf amongst you. Jeffrey Epstein is seen cuddling a sleeping young girl on his lap while on board his private jet after a VIP visit to Walt Disney World in disturbing photos obtained by DailyMail.com. Now, again, these photos, when we say disturbing, it's not disturbing as in, oh my gosh, it's something you would find on, some crude website or something like that. Disturbing as in within context of the story and the case. Because I don't even know if this kid was sleeping in his lap. It looks like she's passed out to me. I mean, I guess you could be that tired after being at Disney World all day or whatever, I guess. But why in Jeffrey Epstein's lap? I mean, none of that jives with me. What sort of parents like, okay, go and fall asleep in so-and-so's lap, Uncle Jeffy's lap? Unless, of course, this was the Dubins. Then, well, you understand, because we know that they're sick people, and they had zero problems letting their kids around Jeffrey Epstein, so who the hell knows? Now, I'm not saying it is the Dubins by any means. I have no idea who these people are in this picture. Their faces are blurred out. Nobody's come out and said it's them or their children or anything like that. But my point is, in general, why would you let anyone have your kid in their lap? And I'm not talking about a small, little 2-year-old kid or something like that. I could understand that. You're putting a baby to sleep. Okay, I get it. This kid looks, 12, 13 years old. 11, 12, something like that. Very young, okay? But not young enough that she needs to be sung a lullaby in some grown man's lap. There is no suggestion that the unidentified girl in the photograph was a victim of Epstein, and her identity has remained anonymous. 100%. Look, I'm certainly not saying that. Well, there's no proof of any of that this is someone he abused, right? So, for me, it's the context of the photo. It elicits a anger that burns as hot as 1,000 suns. Seeing this dude with this young girl on his lap like this. And I'm not a parent, right? So I don't really try and get too deep into the weeds about the what ifs or what I would do if I was a parent. But I can tell you, without a shadow of a doubt right now, my child will not be sleeping on anybody's lap. Certainly not at that age. Other shocking images show the disgraced financier, pedophile, enjoying himself at the resort and eating lunch surrounded by unsuspecting families at the Crystal Palace buffet restaurant in the Magic Kingdom. So all of these unsuspecting families that are in these pictures, they probably took pictures of their own, you would think, right? So how many of them might have this sick, creepy F-bag in their pictures, in their family pictures? It's pretty scary to think how many monsters move amongst us, folks. You could be anywhere, in the line at the supermarket, at the drive-thru, at your doctor's office, and you have no idea what kind of sick, demented bastards creeping around near you. In one picture, Epstein is seen talking to the same little girl, while in another photo, Disney character Piglet posing with the group. So, you had Piglet, who is supposedly obviously a pig character, posing with the biggest pig of all, Epstein. Sure, that made for a great photograph. I mean, it's just chilling to think that this guy lived his life in such a normal manner, running around, going to Disney World and all of this jazz, acting like everything's just A-okay, and at the same time, abusing children, trafficking women, laundering money, trafficking children. And all of these people that were around him are going to try and act like they had no idea, huh? You didn't think it was weird if you were on this plane and you saw this girl sleeping on his lap? If you didn't think it was weird, that's because it's normalized to you, and you're probably a fellow traveler. That's right, I said it. If this shit is not goofy to you, if this shit isn't way out of your lane, and you're just like shrugging your shoulders and you're like, oh, okay, yeah, well then you're probably part of the problem. So all of these people that ran around and acted like they had no idea what Jeffrey Epstein was about, they had no idea what he was doing, they had no idea he was a pervert or any of this other shit, well, why in the hell would he have this little girl passed out on his lap? And do you think it was the first time? Or was that one of the prerequisites of flying on his plane if you were one of these families he was taking to Disney World? So when mom and pop are a little drunk in the back, their daughter's curled up on Jeffrey Epstein's lap, and this sick bastard is, I don't even want to begin to think about the thoughts running through this monster's head. And if you think he was above something like that, or wouldn't engage in something like that, I got another thing to tell you. Because this dude right here was that kind of devious. Oh yeah, we'll set it up. We'll bring these people to Disney World. We'll bring the kid and the parents, and we'll make sure they have a great time. But I have to have access to this kid. You have to make sure that the girl is accessible to me on the plane. I want to sit by her. I want her to talk to me. All of that stuff. That was all part of it for Epstein. All part of his sick, disgusting proclivities. And on this trip, as we're going to hear in a few minutes, well, Sarah Kellen Vickers was with him. And so was Nadia Marcinkova. You don't think the Core Four played a huge role in all of this, facilitating it and setting it up and making sure it all happened? They knew what Jeffrey Epstein was. They saw this girl on his lap, and they participated. Other images show how families were oblivious to the rich and powerful businessman, pedophile, who was dining in their midst as costume character Tigger also greeted guests. A source who was on the trip to Disney World tells DailyMail.com of their horror at discovering the tucked-away images of Epstein at the theme park around 2004. The tucked-away images, huh? How many more of those tucked-away images does the source have? And if you were on this plane, this flight to Disney World with Jeffrey Epstein, how long do you think you're going to remain an unnamed source? Pretty sure the FBI would like to talk to you. I'm pretty sure they'd like to see these pictures. I wonder how long it'll be before a couple of knuckleheads come running around, oh, these pictures are fake too. Because you know that those kind of people are floating around. But I'm pretty sure that the authorities will want to get a nice look at these pictures and speak to whoever took them. It wasn't until 2008 that Epstein pleaded guilty to soliciting a minor for prostitution. No such thing. You can't be a minor and be engaged in prostitution. The law didn't even make sense, just about every other thing that happened in Florida. And served just 13 months in jail. No, not in jail, in a stockade where he was allowed to leave 6 days a week for up to 13 hours a day. Okay, that's not jail. And then in July 2019, he was arrested on sex trafficking charges, but killed himself, allegedly, in prison a month later while awaiting trial. There is no doubt that picture is absolutely chilling based upon what everyone now knows about Epstein, they said. 100%. In hindsight, that picture is one of the most chilling that we have seen in this whole entire case. And in fact, it might be the most chilling. The actual sick prickbag animal with his disgusting hands all over a child. It's almost too much to compute, right? I feel like pouring bleach in my eyes just looking at that picture. I don't know how these people that hung around with him all the time were able to abide by this. Unless, of course, again, it was normalized. It had been a long day, and the girl just fell asleep in his arms. The picture is terrifying based upon what we know now, but it was entirely innocent. Oh, okay. How many of you out there with children had your daughter just fall asleep in some guy's arms because they were tired, because it was a long day? I'm going to go out on a limb here and guess none of you. All right? So why was she asleep in Jeffrey Epstein's arms, in his lap, curled up, with him leering at her like she was something to be traded or sold at some sort of open-air market? That's the way he's leering at her. And the question is why? Why is she even on his lap? Why is that acceptable? Why would her parents be acceptable of that? My guess is it was all part of Epstein's plan, like I was just saying. Sure, we'll bring him to Disney World, we'll wine and dine him, but I have to have access. And then that's where the Core 4 would come in, I'm guessing. The insider told how Epstein spared no expense for the trip and flew a group of 10 people for the trip to Disney World in Orlando, Florida on his dime. Well, if any of you listening to this podcast were part of that trip, part of that group, and would like to speak to me, I would love to talk to you about what you saw on that adventure. And I'm sure everybody would love to hear it. So if you were on that trip and you happen to be listening to this podcast, it's time to come forward and bring forward all the receipts that you have, pictures, conversations, whatever it may be. Because it's only a matter of time before the little cracks in the dam completely and utterly shatter and all of this comes to light. I truly believe, folks, that eventually all of this is going to come to light. You see it happening in trickles now. And the steam has picked up as the story has picked up, as more people have been interested in the story. So I feel like we're going to see a lot more of that as we move forward. Other guests included Ghislaine Maxwell, Serpentino herself, his personal assistant, lieutenant and co-conspirator Sarah Kellen, and Slovakian model, co-conspirator, member of the Core 4, Nadia Marcinkova, the source said. And, like I was just saying a second ago, their job would be to get it all into order, all of the logistics locked in, make sure everything's on the up and up, make sure the parents are well taken care of, so they're not even worried about what Uncle Jeffy's doing. Maybe that's the cynic in me, but it certainly seems like the sort of plot this disgusting, creepy creeperton from Coney Island would hatch. We all boarded the jet after leaving his home in Palm Beach, and then we took the short plane ride to Orlando, where we were picked up and taken to Disney World, the insider revealed. We were given a VIP tour of the park, and someone was escorting us around from ride to ride, they said. The group never had to be in line for a ride. We went to the front of the line each time. Yeah, of course. That's how they roll, right? They don't wait in line. They don't pay their taxes. They don't follow the law. They don't show up for subpoenas. They don't do shit except rob and steal from us and, well, engage in human trafficking operations, obviously, as well. Jeffrey wouldn't go on any, though. He didn't seem to like them. Perhaps it was something to do with not being in control, something which he liked to be all the time. So this source, whoever it is that the Daily Mail is talking to, obviously knows him very well. They know him enough to know he doesn't go on rides. They know him enough to know that he likes to be in control all the time. They know him enough to know that Jeffrey Epstein most certainly has to be in control. It was a fun day. We ate in a restaurant with two of Jeffrey's friends who we met there. Jeffrey, however, did not eat lunch. I hardly ever saw him eat at a restaurant. Food always had to be prepared by a personal chef. And that goes to what I was just saying as well. I hardly ever saw him eat at a restaurant. So obviously this source is someone that was around him all the time. How many other pictures do you have? What else are you holding out on? Let's see it. Food always had to be prepared by a personal chef. Again, this goes to the vein of this person being very close to Epstein, intimate with Epstein, someone who really knows him. So what else does this person know about Epstein's behavior? That could be due to his obsession with cleanliness or maybe a health thing. The day was actually very enjoyable, and we stayed until late in the evening when we watched the parade, a water show, and fireworks. After a long day, we boarded the plane in Orlando and went back to Palm Beach. That was when the little girl fell asleep on his knee. The little girl? What does that even mean? If this person's so close to Epstein, who is this little girl? Was she someone's kid? And if so, why would that person let this little girl fall asleep on Epstein's lap or anyone else's? I'm trying to rack my brain to come up with scenarios that make sense here, and none of them do. All that makes sense to me is that obviously Epstein wanted access to this girl in the same fashion that Jimmy Savile did when he had all of the different child hospitals and whatnot, so he would have access to those girls. Epstein taking a page out of that playbook, flying them to Disney World, had given everybody a great day. Mom and dad probably a little tipsy. Now the little girl, she's tired. Epstein, come lay with Uncle Jeffy and tell me about your day. And thus, the grooming process begins. Who knows if that's what happened later on here, but it is certainly a scenario that has to be explored when dealing with this sick, disgusting degenerate. It is so sinister to see him there nursing the youngster when the world now knows his terrible secrets and crimes. Whoever this source is, really, you didn't know his secrets and crimes, huh? It didn't strike you as disgusting that this little girl was passed out on his lap, huh? Okay, Mr. Source or Mrs. Source. Meanwhile, Epstein's alleged co-conspirator has griped about her prison conditions once again in a new court filing demanding she be granted access to her laptop because the computers inside the jail are very slow. Maxwell's brain must be working slow to think that that is going to be a reason for the court to grant her requests. Zero chance, Ghislaine, okay? National Serpents Day was yesterday. The suspected child sex trafficker and former girlfriend, underboss, co-conspirator, fellow child abuser, and bipedal serpent of Epstein is currently being held without bail at the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn, New York, as she awaits trial. In a letter to the federal court obtained by DailyMail.com Tuesday, attorney Bobby Sternheim pushed back against the decision to block Maxwell from accessing her computer outside of the working week. The filing also claimed prison guards have psychologically and physically abused Maxwell, and that her complaints had been met with reprisals. We discussed all of that on the Daily Drop just a little bit ago. The episode just dropped at 4 o'clock, so an hour and 42 minutes ago. So all of that was discussed this afternoon. So I'm not going to go back into that and dive back into that right here. But obviously, as you can possibly tell, I think it's ridiculous that Ghislaine Maxwell would even try the nonsense she's trying. So here's where we're at, folks. These pictures, highly disturbing. Make sure you check out the link. Make sure you look at these pictures yourself so you see what I'm talking about. And buckle up, because I think that the ride from here on out is about to be filled with a few curves. All right, everybody. If you'd like to contact me, you can do that at bobbycapucci@protonmail.com. That's BOBBYCAPUCCI at protonmail.com. You can also find me on Twitter at BOBBY_CAPUCCI. All of the links that go with this episode can be found in the description box. All right, folks, I will be back tomorrow, and we will pick up where we left off.